Assalamu alaikum. As far as chapter 4 is concerned, it's a very easy chapter. Chapter is software. What you need to know in this chapter is the difference between system software and application software. Then you need to work on, be aware of the operating system, hota kya hai, utility programs kya hota hai, application software, इनमें क्या difference होता है. You need to know the functions of an operating system. You need to know the need of hardware, firmware, and operating system when running the application software. And most importantly, you need to know the role and operation of interrupts. After that, what else you need to know is the programming languages, the translators and IDEs. Very, very important for you people to understand and remember. Let's start with the system software. Software is divided into two categories. The first one is your system software, and second one is the application software. As you can see, the hardware is interacting with the system software, and then we can install application software of different types like word processors, like databases, like browser, like games software, the game that you play, the spreadsheet. All these are your applications or application software. So you can see the general features of the system software is that the set of programs to control and manage the operation of the hardware, provides a platform on which other softwares can act, or other software can run, can work, required to allow hardware and software to run without problems. It provides human computer interface, HCI, and controls the allocation and use of the hardware resources. As far as application software is concerned, it is used to perform certain applications, certain apps, allows the user to perform specific tasks using the computer resources, a single program like Notepad, or it can be a suite of programs like MS Office. And they can execute them as they require. But one thing that you need to remember is the application software is always leading the system software. It cannot be installed if the system software is the same. What else you need to know is a little bit of the features of your word processors, your spreadsheet. As you can see, the creating, editing, saving, and manipulating of text, copy and paste operation is there. Spell checker and thesaurus is there. Importing photos and images into the document is possible, and translation into a foreign language. On the contrary, the most important feature of spreadsheet is the formulae. You can use graphs, and the most important thing is what if calculations. A database, as the name implies, is giving you the ability to carry out queries on databases, and can help you in adding, deleting, and modifying your data stored in the different tables. Along with that, controlling and measuring software, you have apps, which are the short form of applications. Then photo editing software, the video editing software, and the graphic manipulation software. These all are examples of your application software. Coming to the typical system software, you have compilers, which will be discussed later. The linkers. A linker or link editor is a computer program that takes one or more object files produced by a compiler and combines them into a single program which can be run on a computer. Now, what is an object file and what is a source file? These are the two terms that you need to know. Source file is what you are programming, and object file is what the computers understand. So source file is something that you write, and the object file is what the computers understand. So in linkers formats, you can see a linker is meant to actually, a link editor is a computer program that takes one or more object files, and it is going to produce it is going to combine them and produce a single program for that. Device drivers, as we studied earlier, these again are needed to make the devices work, and device drivers are automatically installed using the USB, Universal Serial Bus, if you remember. USB ports are giving the facility to install the device drivers automatically. Most importantly, you need to know the utility or the utility programs, which will be discussed right now. An operating system is going to be giving you the facility of input and output operations. HCI, human computer interface, it is going to have from the error handling operation, loading and running the programs, and managing of security. That is, user accounts are being maintained, and the passwords, the users are allowed to enter the passwords, and they are allowed to access their own resources as well. Utility software, as you can see, the utility programs, a few utility programs as I mentioned, and what you need to know is virus checker, as you are already aware of, virus checker or antivirus. Defragmentation software, I discussed this thing under the heading of chapter number 3, HDD, so you already know. What you need to know is antivirus. What is it doing? It's going to work in the background and make your system stay away from the virus attack. After that, defragmentation, as the name implies, the defragmentation is meant to actually put all the broken, non-contagious parts of the file into one piece so that it can be accessed faster, it can be worked upon faster. That is what the purpose of defragmentation software is. Then we have the utility program that is meant to perform the backup. So you can see the backup is already there. So you can put one more application, one more utility program is performing the backup, and backup software is there to you can see while it is sensible to take manual backups, definitely where we can use a memory stick, or we can use the external hard drive, or we can even in some situations use a tape drive as well. Although not mentioned in your syllabus, but we can use a tape drive as well for backing up. But along with that, we do have the utility program that is meant to perform the backup automatically for the user, and that is done without our knowledge, without us doing anything, and the same data can be retrieved in case of any data loss as well. Then we have the screensavers, security system, security software is there that is going to manage access and control in the user accounts. It is going to perform this activity using user IDs and passwords, linking to other utility software. We have to protect against the network interfaces, for example, the user firewall, using encryption, and that is also the feature of the that is also one of the features of your security software. Screensavers, as the name implies, these are your moving images, and these images are going to be activated once your screen is inactive for a certain time period. So they were used in the beginning for the CRT monitors, but then their utility was so important, they're still in use, and the people are still using them in case they are moving away. So they activate the screensaver so that their system is still active. Then we have the device drivers, as discussed earlier in chapter number 2. We have talked about the device drivers. So we know what are device drivers. And all USB device drivers contain a collection of information about devices that is called descriptors. This is one term that you need to know what is descriptor. All USB device drivers contain a collection of information about devices, and this information is called descriptor. Then we have operating system. As I talked about earlier, operating system is the feature, HCI, human-computer interface, what you interact with. That can be your GUI or CLI, a very important thing that can come in your paper, multitasking, more than one task being handled at the same time, running the application software, management of user accounts, managing files, then managing your peripherals, memory management, interrupt handling, and security management. These all are simple features of your operating system. Now, what you need to know is the HCI, human-computer interface, and here the role of CLI and GUI. CLI is what the users type, and definitely it has its own features, like CLI is faster in execution as compared to GUI, but one problem with CLI is you need to remember the commands, and if you are not able to remember the commands, you make a mistake, the task will not be done for you. On the contrary, if I say the GUIs are gaining popularity, the people are making use of the systems faster, they are learning faster because of the GUI. And then GUI uses the Windows icons, menus, and pointing devices. Then you can see that your Vim or Windows are going to make your life easy, but they are needing more hardware requirement. They are needing, they're a little slower in speed as well. They need a little time to understand and execute the commands, but they are making the life of the people very easy, and they are user friendly. Advantages and disadvantages of the command line and user interface and the graphical user interface is very important. You can see the same. Tight interaction with the computer system. User is not restricted to a number of predetermined options. You can see it is possible to alter computer configuration settings using a small amount of computer memory. It is going to be more memory efficient. But on the contrary, the user needs to learn a number of commands, and learning is a little difficult. All commands need to be typed in, which takes time. Each command must be typed in using the correct format, spelling, and everything. If you make a single mistake of even a space is not given or space is given extra, then that will result in your command not being executed. On the contrary, GUI is more user-friendly, and it is using a pointing device such as a mouse to get the task done faster, and you don't have to learn the commands at all. But this type of interface uses up more memory than a CLI. The user is limited to the icons, and they cannot do anything on their own, and needs an operating system such as Windows to operate, which uses up considerable memory. So you need to be focused on this CLI and GUI for your own self. RAM and ROM management, definitely the different memory that we have in the computer system, they are being managed again by the operating system, the job being sent, the job being received, how the data is being saved, that is all managed by the operating system. Security management, as we have talked about right now, that user IDs and passwords, when the user is logged in, who has access to which area, access rights are being given, so that the privacy of the data is being maintained. Hardware management, every single thing that is present in the computer system as hardware is going to be managed by the operating system. It's going to take care of each and everything in the computer system. Then we have file management. And this you need to know that the file management means the file conventions, performing different operations, maintaining the directory structures, ensuring access control mechanism, like giving password, giving access rights to different users. So they are not able to access something that is not in their domain. And then we have like a memory allocation for a file by reading it from the hard drive or SSD and loading it into the memory differently. When you try to open a file, opening means that the file will be opened from your hard drive or your SSD into the memory. And same goes if you are saving the file, again, the data will be saved from the memory to your hard drive or whatever. So this is again managed by the operating system. Then you need to know interrupts, which will be discussed right now. Then you need to multitasking, performing more than one task at the same time, and definitely that is only possible if the resources are allocated properly. Allocation of resources is very important. Is a prime important thing in your this thing. Management of user accounts, administrator is the prime person responsible to see everything happening properly and assigning the different rights to the users, creating the IDs and the passwords are assigned to the users again by the administrator, who is the sole person responsible, or maybe the people who are responsible for taking care of the whole system. Firmware, BIOS, ROM BIOS, as we learned earlier, is often referred to as firmware. So this term you need to know, it's defined as a program that provides low-level control devices. And it's actually, the BIOS program is stored in a special type of ROM called EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. And the BIOS settings are stored on a CMOS chip, complementary metal oxide semiconductor. And CMOS is powered up all the time by a rechargeable battery. And this battery, this is what you need to know. The BIOS settings will be reset if the battery was removed or disconnected for some reason. Once the CMOS is started, will access the same BIOS program from EEPROM, but the setting will now be default factory settings, which can be changed by the user if they want to. Interrupts. A very important thing that can come in your paper is a signal generated by the device or software, and to get the attention of the processor, and it is done in two situations. Either a problem has occurred or the task is accomplished. So in both scenarios, it is going to raise the interrupt. And you can see sometimes the hardware interrupt, like maybe some paper jam in the printer, or maybe paper stuck in the printer, or maybe the ink has finished. That will result in your hardware interrupt. Similarly, we do have software interrupt, like for example, if some application is able to not find any files, so it will raise the software interrupt. Or maybe the application has been installed properly, then also it will be raising the software interrupt. Sometimes we do have interrupt priorities because some applications need immediate attention, so they are given a higher priority, and some applications can be deferred that are given a low priority. Then you need to know the definition of buffer. A buffer is basically a temporary storage area inside devices, and like we do have the printer buffer, and this is needed to make to compensate the speed differences between the devices and the computer system. So again, you need to know what a buffer is in order to understand and answer. ISR, what is it actually? If for example, if you can see interrupt is received, needs to be serviced. So what happens is, whatever the program is running, that program has to stop temporarily. So what happens is that program status is stored in ISR, interrupt service routine, so that it is going to start from the same point when the application is can say आपने उसके बाद काम कर लिया, so definitely it has to start from the same point. So that will be held in ISR, so that it is going to start from the same point where it had been interrupted before the application was before the interrupt was received. After that, I will suggest you to perform all these questions. The descriptions, their terminologies should be well understood and well learned by every one of us. Now, next thing that we need to know is the different levels of languages, which are high level, low level, and machine. their advantages or disadvantages, their features should be well understood by everyone. What is a computer program? A list of instructions. We do have high-level languages, and you can see for yourself, high-level language is understood closer to human language, which is English. It is understood and read easily by the humans because it is closer to English language, written in a smaller time, debugged at a faster rate, and is debugged at the development state, and it maintains once in use. This is a line that you can see, and this line is very simple to comprehend because this line is just a statement that is written to make you understand how the high-level languages are being handled, like Pascal, like Python. On the contrary, we do have low-level languages. Low-level languages refer to the specific architecture and hardware of a computer system. Low-level languages can refer to machine code, the basic binary instruction that a computer can understand, or assembly language that needs to be translated into machine code. So you can see low-level languages are divided into two categories as per your book. They are saying machine code, that is the zeros and ones language, or it can be assembly code, that is they again need to be translated. Now you can see for yourself that this 0 and 1 is your binary, and on the contrary, if I say this one, this is your hexadecimal. So hexadecimal is a little easier for humans to comprehend as compared to binary. The advantages and disadvantages, as you can see, high-level language, independent of the type of computer being used, it is not machine dependent, easy to read, write, and understand, quicker to write programs. Programs are easier and quicker to debug, easy to maintain programs once in use. On the contrary, the disadvantages are programs can be larger, program can take longer time to execute, programs may not be able to make use of special hardware. On the contrary, low level can make use of special hardware, include special machine-dependent instructions, can write code doesn't take up much space in the primary memory, can write code that performs the task very quickly. And on the contrary, the disadvantages are it takes a longer time to write and debug programs written in low-level language. Programs are more difficult to understand. They are not user-friendly as compared to your high-level language. Now, moving further to the translators, one thing that you need to remember is machine language does not need any translator. But when it comes to the high-level or low-level languages, we need to remember that we need translators, and the translators can be compiler or interpreter for high-level language and assembler for low-level language. I suggest you that you better go through this table that will make you remember the differences between and even the similarities. You can see the compiler and interpreter have one thing in common, that they both are high-level language translators. Same goes for, you can see for yourself, a few things are similar for both compiler and assembler. So this is how you can actually frame a question that comes in the paper that deals with compiler interpreter mein kya similarity hai ya kya differences hai. Same goes for any other two combinations as well. So this is how you can prepare for your papers. Let me very quickly tell you that what is a compiler. Translates a high-level language program into machine code, and remember it's a high-level language program, not high-level language. The word keyword program is supposed to be mentioned in your answer. An exe file is produced, an executable file of machine code is produced. One high-level language statement can be translated to several machine code instructions. This is one thing that you need to see is one high-level language command that you have written is broken down into a series of statements, and these instructions are your machine code instructions. Compile programs are run without the compiler. They don't need the compiler at all. They can run without them. A compiled program is usually distributed for general use. So normally the general use programs are compiled or assembled. On the contrary, if I talk about interpreters, same thing for both compiler and interpreter. They both are high-level language translators. No exe file is being produced. One high-level language for instruction is going to be divided into several machine code instructions. So you can see these are the two similarities between compilers and interpreters, the first one and the third one. Interpreted programs cannot be run without the interpreter. You need to have the interpreter always so that it can work and you can understand. And interpreter is often used when a program is being developed. So this is something important even for a bigger program. If I'm developing it, I'll go for interpreter and not the compiler. Translates, and last we have assembler, translates a low-level language program into machine code. An exe file is being produced. One low-level language statement is equal to one machine code instruction. So this is something different between these two and this one. So one low-level language statement is going to be translated into one machine code instruction. So 1-to-1. Assembler programs are used without the assembler. This is the similarity between compiler and interpret and assembler. And then you can see an assembler program can be distributed for general use. So you can see for yourself, these are your similarities between compiler and assembler, that they both are running without the assembler or without the compiler. They both are meant to be used for some application that are distributed for general use. You can refer to this table as well, and that will again give you the same that we have talked about right now. Last topic of this chapter is IDE. Very simple one that you need to focus on is IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So those of you who have worked on some other program where we have different things, we can see for yourself that IDEs are giving you the feature of the code editor, a translator, a runtime environment with a debugger. It has error diagnosis, it has auto completion, auto correction, and an auto documenter and printing. I suggest you that you better actually remember a few important things. Code editor, as the name implies, it's going to be giving you the scenario where you can write down the program, edit it, without the need to have a separate text editor. As the ones who have worked on HTML development, they know that we need one notepad for typing and another one for viewing the browser. Translator is available in your IDE, which you can use the same place at the same place where we have a translator. Where we have runtime environment with the debugger, we can debug just then and there to find out that what the error is. And we have an error diagnostics and auto correction. You can see for yourself. Then if the ones who have worked on Python or Visual Basic can recall auto completion, a very important feature that is giving you the facility of automatically completing a few things that appear on the screen, and you can just choose them from there, and that is going to make your life a little easy. Auto documenter and pretty printing, as you can see, most code editors are going to use a color code, and that will actually give you a hint that whether you are going right or wrong, because if the color changes not from the away from the norm, then you can see for yourself there is some problem in your answer. Now you can see for the questions, attempt the questions and do this topic very well. It's a very simple topic. Best of luck to you. Allah Hafiz.